Hi, in this video we are going to learn about quadratic formula and the discriminant. We will focus mainly on the discriminant part of the quadratic formula for this video. At the end of the video, you should be able to solve the discriminant of a given quadratic equation and determine the number and type of solutions. Let's begin with your definition of a quadratic formula. For any given quadratic equation in standard form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, the values of x, which are the solutions of the equations, are given by the formula x is equal to negative b plus minus the square root of the expression b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This formula is basically used to solve for the solutions of a quadratic equations. Remember, we have different methods learned previously. We have the graphing, we have the factoring, and other method. This one is also a different method for finding the solutions of a quadratic equation, but this is a formula. Just remember the formula. Just be able to determine your a, b, and c's of your quadratic equation in standard form. Then you can find your solutions. Let's proceed. How does it work? So first, you should be able to identify your a, b, and c. A is 3, b is 5, and x is 1. And your formula, you just substitute your a, b, and c's. So you have a's are 3, b is 5, and c is 1. And then simplify your values. 5 squared is 25, 4 times 3 times 1 is 12, 2 times 3 is 6, and then finally you have 25 minus 12 is 13. And so since we cannot simplify that further, to show that there are actually two solutions, you can actually write it separately, where the first one has a plus in between, negative 5 and the square root of 13, and the other root or solution is actually with a negative. This is supposed to be the final solution, but you could actually end up with just this expression. It is understood that there are two solutions. The first solution has plus and the second one has a minus. We cannot simplify it further because it does not simplify further unless you are going to use a calculator and it gives you a decimal value. Okay. We are going to focus on your discriminant for today. The discriminant is the value in the square root of the quadratic formula. You have the b squared minus 4ac. That is your discriminant. What is the discriminant? Well, discriminant will actually give you an idea of the solutions, possible solutions of your quadratic equation. Discriminant can be positive, 0, or negative. If your discriminant is a positive and it's a perfect square, it means you have two real roots or two solutions, real number solutions. If it is positive but it's not a perfect square, you are going to result to have two irrational roots. Okay. There are also other cases. If it's not positive, then it could be a 0 or negative. This one is an example of two irrational roots, wherein supposed to be if the number inside, which is your discriminant, is a perfect square, like for example 4, 9, 36, it simplifies. If it is 5, then it does not simplify. Then this is an example of irrational roots wherein you have a value that you don't have a square root. It cannot be turned into a whole number. Instead, it becomes a decimal. That makes it irrational. Now, what if discriminant is 0? Well, in your quadratic formula, if the discriminant is 0, you have a one real root or one real solution, real number solution. The last case, if your discriminant value is negative, it means you're having a two complex roots. When we will solve later on, your complex roots or answers have the symbol I, which stands for imaginary number. We will deal with that further later on. Now, let's have your example. Find the discriminant of the given and determine the number and type of solutions. You have your example, x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. Your discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. That's your formula all the time. There's no square root. It's just your b squared minus 4ac. Your b is 5, a is 1, and c is 6. 5 squared is 25, 4 times 1 times 6 is 24. 25 minus 24 is 1. 1 is actually a perfect square. It means you have two real solutions for this. We're not going to solve yet. We are learning about discriminant. The discriminant tells us the possible type of solutions and how many solutions there will be. Therefore, there are two real solutions, which is the first case of your possibility of a discriminant, which is a positive and a perfect square. Let's have more examples. You have here x squared plus 6x plus 9. Your b is 6, a is 1, c is 9. 6 squared is 36. 4 times 9 is also 36. It becomes 0. If your discriminant is 0, it means there's only one real solution, one rational root, real root. Let's have another example. You have here x squared plus 3x plus 5. Your b is 3, a is 1, c is 5. 3 squared is 9, 4 times 5 is 20, and 9 minus 20 is negative 11. If you have a negative, it means you will have a rational roots, an imaginary number, because this will be negative 11 is inside of your square root, and it's not possible to have a negative square root. Therefore, you have two complex roots. If you're going to solve this, you will end up with two possible complex roots. And there's one more example. The last example is going to be x squared plus 8x minus 4. Your discriminant is equal to b squared minus 4ac. b is 8, a is 1, c is negative 4. So you have 8 squared is 64. 4 times 4 is 16. Negative times negative is positive. So 64 plus 16 is 80. 80 is not a perfect square. Therefore, we have two irrational roots. Two irrational roots. That's it. You can now start working your worksheet. Thank you.